So I graduated from James Madison University in 2011. Go Dukes. I graduated with a degree in integrated science and technology with a focus in telecommunications. From that point on, I worked about just shy of 4 years at a value-added reseller here in New York. I started in procurement, was quickly rising through the company, moved to an inside sales rep, and eventually into a sales rep for their enterprise accounts. And then later on moved to Amulet Hotkey. So for Amulet Hotkey, a recruiter actually reached out to me right as it was a bit of a crossroads. I actually had another offer to go to a different tier one vendors partner sales academy, which would have had me going to the Carolinas. So I had a couple interviews with the Amulet team, and I just realized they're really passionate, intelligent, motivated people here, and I wanted to be a part of that. I also saw a lot of potential for both personal and business growth. My favorite thing to working at Amulet Hockey is the very fantastic people to work around, but also it's very familial. I feel very comfortable with everyone I work with, and again, it's just immensely intelligent people. Going over to London and being able to speak with some of the engineers, it's just amazing the wealth of knowledge that they have, and yeah, just easy environment to work in for with all those that surround me. My biggest challenge in my role, I think, from the sales perspective, I'll focus on is that fear of change that people have, which can really permeate. There's so many different things, right? Whether it be the fear of change into moving into a new role, or in my case, the fear of change of, hey, this workstation that I have sitting under my desk, there's nothing wrong with it. And it's trying to show these customers that change isn't a bad thing, and this change can actually bring about some fantastic ability for you guys to meet new demands much easier. Yeah, so obviously with COVID, we had this whole new surge of, well, we need to be able to work remote, right? So what Amulet provides is not just a solution, but a stable of different solutions that are all agile, meet different types of tiered requirements, right? You have your knowledge workers who may need something that's a little less performant, so we can sell them a virtualized offering, and you may have the power users, as we say, who will require a dual Xeon high performance workstation, which is also something we can provide. Or you may just have someone who might have an even lower budget and just has these existing workstations and says, "Hey, I just need to be able to get these guys to access this in a more performant manner than your standard RDP will allow." And that's where we can sell them some Teradici host cards as well to put them in existing workstation, or some Teradici PC over IP, now HP Anywhere licensing as well. So data security is an interesting one. I kind of liken it to your house, right? I mean, it's not just one thing, right? You can get in a high-end security system, but if you leave the bathroom window unlocked, you've left yourself a gap that someone can enter, right? So it's important to make sure that you take it as a holistic view. So from our perspective, we can focus on the host to make sure it's in the data center. That is physically locked down, right? On the client side, we make sure we give you a client that has the most minimal attack surface possible, whether that's a zero client or a thin client. And then the protocol in between. So again, I'll use an example of PC over IP, which over uses 256-bit encryption, but also only sends changed pixels. So you're not getting a static image moving across that might have an account number, for example. So in that same sense, you need to focus on all those points, but also even the simple things such as, make sure your users aren't leaving their passwords on a sticky note on their monitor, right? Which even then, there's another way you can do that. You can make sure that you have two-factor authentication set up for most of your systems, but it really is just taking a good look at the whole picture and not becoming too reliant on one offering solving all your security needs. I think the biggest change I've seen in tech, and it does roll right into ML hockey, is just that everything these days is just it's compute, compute, compute. And what I mean to say there too is also just the size of the compute, right? We look at Apple recently released their M1 and now M2, and that kind of changed the game a bit with just how much processing we can do on such lower power and in a more dense offering. Previously our solutions were extremely unique when we were working on Dell M1000E solutions and using Blade servers. And now that kind of density has become a little bit more of the norm. So it's kind of had us adjust and how we look at this and how we optimize our solutions to still meet these compute needs. We already had the density play, but now making sure that we meet these higher requirements that these new programs and everything else are asking from the workstations and servers that are powering them. So yeah, it's compute. Intel, AMD are just probably off the heels of the shot across their bow from Apple are improving their compute requirements, and Nvidia on the graphics side of things, as well as AMD. But Nvidia on the graphics side really coming through with some impressive technology. So I think we'll continue to see these companies develop more impressive compute power, and just continuing to meet the needs of our users as they continue asking for more. Still compute, which kind of then falls right into, what are we computing, right? All this is bringing even more data into play, right? When you compute something, you are there 9 times out of 10 creating more data. So it's what do we do with this data? How are we then analyzing that data? Kind of falls right back into compute, but also, AI and machine learning, all of this powered on the back end by impressive compute engines, whether it be CPU or GPU. So yeah, I actually have a bit of an interesting answer there. It's a company that we have here in the States called Costco. Very similar to Amulet Hockey. It is, to me, it gives off the presence of being a very familial company. I mean, Costco, I mean, they sell produce and some IT stuff, a little bit of everything. One of my favorite stores to go to on the weekend. But what they do is they make sure that they provide their customers with the best products at optimal pricing, and they take care of their employees so well. They're one of the highest paid entry level employees with fantastic benefits. And I see those very similar things here at Amulet Hockey. So at the end of the day, the customer gets exactly what they need for the right price. And just as importantly, the employees, they're extremely happy because they're also being taken care of. Yeah, so actually another interesting answer, and a lot of people don't put it to me, but I actually really like metal. It's one of my favorite things. Usually not conducive to working, but I will have it on. But I also do like some classic rock and alternative. But actually, more recently, I guess with the World Cup coming up, I've been listening to a lot more soccer podcasts. But I also listen to F1 podcasts as well.